Good morning, friends. It's Miss Renee here. And for our story today, we are going to let our Lego friends tell the story because, there are some weeks where showers just don't happen very often and one is not appropriate for videoing. So, our Lego friends are going to help us with our story today. This is Nehemiah. Say hi to Nehemiah. This is the king of Persia, Artaxerxes. And in our story today, Nehemiah is the cupbearer to the king. And what the cupbearer does is when people bring food, see all this food and drink that people bring to the king, kings eat very well. Look at that. There's ice cream, there's fish. So Nehemiah, he goes over and he takes a sip before the king takes a sip. And if Nehemiah doesn't drop dead, then he knows it's not poisoned. So that is a very, very trusted job. So like Nehemiah would come and he'd grab a fish, he'd taste it, see if it was contaminated or poisoned, and if he didn't drop dead, he gave it to King Artaxerxes. So he had a very, very, very important job. So when people like this came in, here comes a guy from faraway lands, and doesn't he look sinister? He's carrying a sword and everything. And he's bringing, let's say, he's bringing this little potion. And he gives it, he says, I want to give this to the king. Nehemiah says, hang on, let me drink it first. So he drinks it, doesn't die, gives it to the king, and he leaves. So that's his role. And in the story, another guy comes from a faraway land. He looks like he's been traveling. Let's look at him. He's got a nice little backpack on. And he doesn't stand up very well, so I'm going to have to hold him up. Ah, everybody's falling. Here, let's let them sit. They sit a little bit better. So they're going to sit and have a little chat. And he's going to say, this little friend is going to say, hey, guess what? Oh, Nehemiah asks, how are things going in Jerusalem with the rebuilding of the temple and everything? And this little guy's like, it's not good. This is what it looks like. Dun dun dun. That's how the rebuilding of Jerusalem is going. Guys, it's a sad state. Very sad state. So after this little meeting, Nehemiah thinks, man, I need to get to Jerusalem to help. But he knows that he has a very trusted position with the king. So you know what Nehemiah does? He starts praying that God would soften the king's heart, that he would allow him to go to Jerusalem and help with the rebuilding of the temple. So our little messenger friend leaves, and Nehemiah just starts to pray. And he prays for months. Let's see if we can get him to pray. Here we go. So he's praying. So he's praying and praying and praying. And then one day, he's with the king doing his cupbearer thing. And the king can tell, look at his face, he can tell he looks really sad. Oh, and his hair's kind of shifted off to the side. But the problem is, in that day and age, if you're sad with the king, you can be killed. Isn't that weird? But it's true. So Nehemiah is looking sad. He could be killed if the king isn't happy with his sadness. But instead, because Nehemiah had been praying, the king asked Nehemiah, what's wrong? And he just tells him, he says, hey, look, the rebuilding of the temple in Jerusalem is not going so well, and I really want to go and help. And I would really like it if you would grant me passage to go help with the rebuilding of the temple. All expectation was that the king would say no and be very angry and potentially kill him. But you know what? God, through his providence, granted Nehemiah favor with the king, and the king let him go. And so Nehemiah, he gets everything ready, and guess what? He helps with the rebuilding of the temple. Isn't that beautiful? So, gotta get these friends out of the way. So what is our lesson today from Nehemiah and our Lego friends? The lesson today is that when we're in situations where we feel trapped or stuck or paralyzed, that we can pray and God hears us and God intervenes in our lives in ways that are according to His will and that are for our good. So, all right, guys, say goodbye to the new temple in Jerusalem and our helpful friend Nehemiah who never put his cup down. I love you guys. Hope you have a great week. Hope to get to see you soon. Bye.